The Manucultural Festival and Award UK, a movement to promote the Manuculture. Manu UK, Agwe! Let's see what you fire to.
Manu UK, Magina Fio.
Sisiku Asu Issa, a young one of Great Britain. You make a woman, you're
pai. Mbwa vende tramandem. Eta ya takumba. Papa fate semben sen karamandem. Eta mande madra chanjo Eta mande madra chanjo Eta mande madra chanjo Eta mande madra chanjo Madra chanjo Eta mande madra chanjo Madra chanjo Eta mande madra chanjo Papa pop me ya so many manu di eta madara chanjo Apobe buba wundwa kotarati Apobe soriba wa kotarati Papa pop me ya so many manu di eta madara chanjo Mandara karaban ya usibo Eyu babu gabon menye menye Eyu babu gabon ye karabawara Eyu babu gabon ye ndendeze Eta mandara chanjo papa ye Barabi fandu magbe ya vecha Ndanga mandara karaban ya usibo Eyu babu
Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to News Talk with yours truly, Chris Anu, coming to you as usual from the great state of Texas, Houston, Texas, to be precise. Merry Christmas. I want to believe you all had a very Merry Christmas out there in your neck of the wood. It's a pleasure to have you back here for a few days before we lock into the new year. Please do me the favor, if you are joining by way of the social media, go ahead, hit that share button and let everybody know. The anchor man is back from Christmas and I will be here today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. And for these 2 days, tomorrow in particular, I have a powerful interview that I will be bringing to you tomorrow. especially if you are Nigerian. If you are Nigerian, something has been trending in Nigeria of recent, and tomorrow I will be bringing somebody at the middle of what is trending in Nigeria to talk to that person exclusively. I don't want to say whether it is a he or a she, but I give you that suspense to make sure you are here tomorrow. So please, I will be right back in 1 minute. In 1 minute, I will be right back. Please stay tuned.
ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricativ@gmail.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for staying put out there. Again, do me the favor by clicking the like button and the subscribe button if you are watching by way of YouTube today on the social media. In fact, that is the only platform we are streaming on the social media today. So please hit the like button and the subscribe button so that every time we are live, you are one of the first to get notified when we come live. I want to welcome all of you who are watching by way of satellite television in all of continental Africa. Thank you for tuning in, and once more, Merry Christmas and prosperous and happy New Year in a few days to come. Tonight, I come to you with one main subject. Of course, others to discuss, but one main subject. On the eve of Christmas, Issa Tchiroma'S, Cameroon's runaway opposition leader, issued a message promising, and I quote, "We will succeed. We will succeed." We, referring to his supporters and Cameroonians at large out there who have been looking up to him to formally take over the victory they gave him on October 12th, 2025. I'm going to be bringing you my talking point on that. But before we get there, I'd like to take you to Boya, ladies and gentlemen, where fire engulfed a cross-section of the city. The city of Boya, what do they call it? What do Cameroonians call it? The Republicans call it the city of, is it hospitality? I think so. I think that is the name they've given to Boya. They call it the city of hospitality. The city of hospitality has no firefighters to save it. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the truth. I'd like you to look at what happened in Boya. I understand this took place yesterday. Listen, please.
I was told that this house belongs to an old man whose livelihood rested on the income he collected from tenants and business persons using the structure. The entire building is now flattened. Dozens of occupants watch in dismay as the blaze paints the sky.
Unfortunately, I cannot tell what happened, but they just told me that there's a fire incident in my compound. So when I arrived there, everything was already burnt. I don't really know the cause of the fire incident.
Others managed to pick up what is still visible. The exact cause of the fire is unclear, but Bakweri town has a long history of poor electricity supply.
This transformer was brought and later it also burned. Now again, every day we have low voltage things are just being destroyed from our fridges and everything. So we don't just know what is happening with the new. That's just the true story that we're having here. Until we have to come and make this type of an incident now. It's really bad. It's really too bad. Too bad. I think that the INEO should also look for a better solution to solve this problem. It's really bad.
3 days after the fire disaster, the entire neighborhood is still in blackout as businesses remain on a standstill. I was told that this house belongs to an old man whose livelihood rested on the income he collected from tenants and business persons using the structure. The entire building is now flattened. Dozens of occupants watch in dismay as the blaze paints the sky.
Unfortunately, I cannot tell what happened, but they just told me that there's a fire incident in my compound. So when I arrived there, all things was already burnt. I don't really know the cause of the fire incident.
Others managed to pick up what is still visible. The exact cause of the fire is unclear, but Bakweri town has a long history of poor electricity supply.
This transformer was brought and later it also burned. Now again, every day we have low voltage. Things are just being destroyed from our fridges and everything. So we don't just know what is happening with the new. That's just the true story.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, you are looking at that fire inferno that took place in Buea yesterday. Buea, of course, is the capital of Amazonia in the southern Cameroon. And we are told that finally, when firefighters arrived, all the way from Tico past Mutengene up to past Mai 17, 16 and so on. And you are looking at almost at the business district of Buea, ladies and gentlemen, the business district of Buea and the entire city that hosts the governor, so-called governor. All the provincial, as I call them, or divisional delegates, provincial delegates, the city does not boast of a single fire station. Now, I'd like you again to listen to this other report here. Listen to it, please.
And the people of Sosoliso in Muliko, Buea, are still in shock. They are in bewilderment as to how all of this played out. It all started with the truck transporting locally fabricated baskets for tomatoes, which cut a cable that crossed the road because it was loaded up to capacity, and some of the baskets got hooked on a cable that crossed the road, and that is how it cut the cable and ignited the flame. And from there, this vehicle that is completely burned down to ashes is said to have been loaded with illicit fuel, because someone who deals in illicit fuel packs his fuel around here, and that is how the spark from the cable caught fire on the vehicle loaded with illicit fuel, and the fire quickly went out of control, and that is how it has caused all the damage we've seen here. And this is a shop that deals in what is commonly referred to as broken, and which was just recently loaded, and everything in it has been burned down to ashes, and the nearby buildings have also been affected. Then the firefighting brigade, which is now stationed in Mutengene, were alerted, and they got to the scene early enough, and they did all they could and started putting out the fire, but unfortunately they ran out of water, and they only had to make use of a water source that is a distance away before they could replenish their water supply.
All right, so what you're hearing there is this, ladies and gentlemen. The fire station is based all the way in the Tico. But then finally, when it arrived the scene, when they arrived the scene and started fighting the fire for a few minutes, they ran out of water. There was no water to continue the efforts at putting off the flames. That is the issue. That is the problem. Now, I'd like you to take a look at this image here. This is what is being alleged to have caused the fire. Look at this image here. Look at that image there, and look at I understand this is a truck loaded to excess with tomato carrying baskets, as you can see there. Now in front, right on top in front of the truck, you see electric cables. Electric cables. Now what we are learning is this truck pull apart these cables, and that is what resulted to the fire inferno that caused lots and lots of damage in Boya yesterday. That is it. Now, but this is not strange, because you have a country where law does not exist. Anybody does what he wants, when he wants, and the way he wants it. Because in countries where law exists, you cannot load your vehicle, your truck, or whatever to a certain height. In fact, height limits are carefully carved out or erected on the particular segments of the road so that you cannot overload your vehicle beyond the speculated capacity, the stipulated capacity. But that is what happened in the Boya, and you can see the damage. You can see the damage there on your screen. And that is La République du Cameroon for you. And this is not a country where insurance exists, ladies and gentlemen. Insurance doesn't exist in this country. So you can imagine that all of this damage will be borne by individuals, and some will never again in their lifetime recover the damage that we see here in those images. Now, in the aftermath of that, just yesterday, from Yaoundé, a very caring head of state, a very caring leader, a very caring president, the president whom the people just re-elected, he called and promised a fire station in Boya. What a responsive president, isn't it? A responsive leader. Let me ask you this question, ladies and gentlemen, especially if you are a decision maker in that country. Something as common as a fire station should not be the responsibility of a leader, of a president. It's supposed to be the responsibility of the local administration. I am talking about the city councils, the local councils, not... Can you imagine a country where the president has to decree a fire station in a small city? Ladies and gentlemen, think about that. The president, he has to decree a fire station before a fire station can be put in Boya. What a country are these people living in? What is the role of the municipal mayor and his councillors? What is the job of the governors? What really do they have to do? So they have to wait until Yaoundé decree a fire station before one can be erected. And yet they call it land tax, business tax, every form of tax that you can imagine in that municipality. And yet they have to wait for Yaoundé to decree the erection of a fire station before one can show up after this so much damage. What a mess of a country that we're talking about here. That is why Ambazonia has been fighting. Ladies and gentlemen, we are fighting so we can cut off this kind of bureaucratic red tape that you have in that damn country. Can you imagine you go to France and there is fire in a building in France, and the government, Emmanuel Macron, has to decree that a fire station, he is building a fire station in that town or in that city? That doesn't exist anywhere. The local government, the municipal government, that is their responsibility. That is their responsibility to make sure that those things exist. So it's a thing of shame, a thing of shame that, I mean, I don't know those who are advising those criminals in Yaoundé. At the advent of a fire station, you come from Yaoundé with an announcement without any shame, without fearing any ridicule, that you are providing a fire station for Boya. Come on, come on. But that is again the reason why Ambazonians have to continue to fight, for that is what we are fighting for. We are fighting for a country in which the people have control of their resources, they manage their own resources, they set and they build their own infrastructure, because a fire station should not be initiated from Yaoundé. A fire station should be initiated from the local government in Boya. They collect business taxes, they collect housing taxes, they collect land taxes. The local people deserve protection, fire protection, because that is the reason they pay the taxes. I'll leave it there. Let me take you, ladies and gentlemen, to another subject here. I will take you to Kumbo, where La République du Cameroon soldiers finally invaded Kumbo, and they have now set up a military camp right in the center of the city. La République du Cameroon, they have now set up a military camp right in the middle of the city, and it took 3 deaths. It took 3 deaths, 3 civilians shot to death by French Cameroon forces to set up a military camp in that town or city that you see on your right. And that is the city of Kumbo. We are told, we don't have the details yet, but we are told the people, the La République du Cameroon army that has fought hard and long for a while to set up a camp in that city, finally at the dawn of day yesterday, had invaded all of Kumbo, in the course of which they shot down 3 civilians to erect a military camp in the city of Kumbo. Kumbo, for those of you who know, Kumbo is the second largest city after Bamenda in the northern zone. But for all this while, Ambazonia Restoration Forces have controlled the vicinity, the community, almost making it impossible for La République du Cameroon forces to exist or prevail in that county as a whole, talking of all of Bui, because that is where you have the Bui Unity Warriors along that stretch all the way to Ngoke, Tunjia. That is the fief of Bui Unity Warriors, who have for the past years, at least 4 years running, made it impossible for La République du Cameroon to set up camps and stay in those vicinities. But Kumbo, being the biggest city, has been under the control of Ambazonia Restoration Fighters. And I understand it has been tough, very, very difficult for La République du Cameroon to gain foothold into the city of Kumbo. The Restoration Fighters have controlled it, basically running the city, taking taxes from the civilians, and we have also learned of some very, very negative things that these fighters have done. I cannot tolerate them. I cannot accept them. Why we accept the cause for which they stand? We are completely, totally against kidnapping of civilians, torture of civilians, ransom from civilians, totally not part of this struggle, and so we cannot contain that. But they succeeded to do so. They succeeded to do so, picking up people, taking ransom, mounting roadblocks, and collecting dues from pedestrians. Again, something that we have condemned. But La République du Cameroon, we are told, finally succeeded to set up camp within the city of Kumbo. Now, do not forget, it's only last week that the deputy mayor, is it the deputy mayor or the SDO of Kumbo, was found dead in his own house. We are now being told it was poisoned. I will come back to that story possibly in the course of the week. But we are now being told he was killed of poison. His corpse was found with the mouth forming, the nose forming. I will come to that story. But La République du Cameroon has not succeeded to set up a camp in the middle of Kumbo. They do this after killing 3 civilians. For what reason, we do not know. Of course, they will claim that those civilians were Amba fighters, Ambazonia restoration fighters. Of course, not the case. But this is why I am talking about this story. La République du Cameroon continues to build camps, set up military camps in Ambazonia. They continue to set up military camps in Ambazonia. One of these days, I will be coming to you with a very special message addressed to Ambazonians and also directed at the La République du Cameroon authorities. Ambazonians, we have been in this war again for 9 years and counting now. A few more months, going to be 1 decade. 1 decade. And Cameroon thinks that by continuing to set up military camps, militarize everything, they are going to conquer Ambazonia. We have gone too far to think that the setting up of military camps anywhere in our territory can deter us to lay down our arms, or can deter us to continue to fight. I think we've gone too far. We've gone too far. And no military camp anywhere in... If Cameroon thought they can succeed to defeat Ambazonia with military camps, I think the time was long gone. The time was long gone because La République du Cameroon has been setting up these military camps, as far as I know, for the last 6 years. For the last 6 years, and not a single one of them has deterred or discouraged the Ambazonia restoration forces from continuing day by day, as we saw in Bamenda. As we saw in Bamenda, the restoration fighters continue, in spite of those military camps, to take down La République du Cameroon forces. The image you find there, that was Bamenda yesterday. I understand that was around Mile 6, where we are told that Ambazonia restoration fighters took down 6 Cameroon soldiers. 6 Cameroon soldiers in an improvised explosive, and followed by gunshots. Again, that was in Bamenda, we are told yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. And so, if La République du Cameroon thinks for a second, if they think for a second that setting up military camps is going to prevent Ambazonian fighters from continuing to do what they do, La République is making a big mistake, a very big mistake. Kumbo will not fall for La République du Cameroon, ladies and gentlemen. Kumbo will not fall. In fact, Kumbo is the epicenter of this Ambazonian war at this moment, and they continue to stand their ground, defend their territory, and ambush and bring down forces of La République du Cameroon. So, I know that in the days to come, that camp is not going to last. That camp is not going to last. La République du Cameroon, they can rest assured that camp will be eviscerated by Ambazonia restoration fighters. We cannot be fighting occupation, annexation, and the annexer things that they can just also keep on advancing. Ladies and gentlemen, mark my words, mark my words. There is no settlement to this conflict. There is no end in sight to this conflict. Not by military camps, not by military force, but only through a negotiated settlement. So Cameroon can build camps all over as they have done. It hasn't ended the war. It hasn't stopped it. It is still raging on. And we have to do everything. Every Amazonian out there, you included, we have to do everything to make sure we squeeze La République du Cameroon out of our territory, regain our freedoms, regain the dignity, our dignity, regain the ability to develop our own towns and cities and not have to wait for Yaoundé to decree a common fire station in the city of Boya. That is the kind of things, those are the kind of things we have been fighting against for the past 9 years. Just imagine everything to pave the roads in your town, in your city. Orders have to come from Yaoundé. What a government. Orders have to come from Yaoundé for roads, pathways, not tar roads, to be paved in your city. I give you this story. I think I've narrated this story here recently. The BLM indigens in the diaspora, they bought 2 caterpillars, one a grader and the other one a bulldozer, and they sent home to the BLM to alleviate the suffering of the people from having to pay 25,000 francs from Menji to Chang. A distance, a journey that used to cost only, I remember in my days, 1,500 francs. Sometimes 1,000. But today, as of last rainy season, people were paying 25,000 francs. Not from Yaoundé to the BLM or the BLM to Yaoundé, from Menji to Chang, a distance of less than 45 kilometers. Less than 45 kilometers. The roads were impassable. And the BLMers in the diaspora thought they need to do something. And they rallied themselves, bought 2 caterpillars, one a bulldozer and a grader. And they shipped home. Once the caterpillars got there, they started grading the main road. I think they began with the main road from Menji to Chang. And guess what happened? La République du Cameroon phoned from Yaoundé and said, you cannot fix those roads because it is an exclusive reserve of the government to fix the roads, not you. Now you would think that government, so-called, is coming the next day to fix the roads, right? No, they are just stopping them. They are just saying to them, we don't care how worse, how bad the roads are. You don't have to touch them. The government will come when it wants and they will grade the roads or fix the roads. And the caterpillars are standing there. The people are paying 25,000 francs from Menji to Chang, Chang to Menji, because the roads are unpassable. Yet, there are caterpillars standing there. The people have raised the funds, bought caterpillar, put gas in the caterpillar, and the government says, until Yaoundé comes and fixes the road, you can't touch it even when you have your own caterpillars. That is a damn country, ladies and gentlemen. And again, these are some of the reasons for which Ambazonia is at war. That isn't the Anglo-Saxon system. In the Anglo-Saxon system, you fight for your own development. You initiate your own infrastructural development. You don't wait for somebody to come to you. I am so jealous of what I see going on in Nigeria. I see governors, mayors initiating their own local development. They build their roads, they build their hospitals, they build malls. The government does it. The local government do it. It is not Abuja trying to do everything in Nigeria. In fact, in Nigeria now, the states are competing against each other to see which state is more developed infrastructurally. But in the French La République du Cameroun system, Yaoundé has to announce it. Yaoundé has to give you a firefighter. In fact, they say the head of state. The head of state has promised a fire station for Boya. And you know what they are looking for, right? They expect the people to be clapping. The head of state, we thank you. We love you, the head of state. And it is pathetic. It is pathetic. And we must continue to fight. We must continue to fight. There is no end in sight. And I'm appealing to every one of you out there. If things like this do not move you to support these boys who are fighting with their lives on the ground, I don't know what else will move you. If things like having to set up a fire station in the city has to be decreed from Yaoundé doesn't move you, I don't know what things will move you. But look at it the other way. If we were self-governing or independent, the mayor of Boya doesn't have to wait for anybody to tell him, build a fire station, at least three in the city. Because you build fire stations depending on the population and the size of each city. So that, like here in the USA, if there's a fire incident, the firefighters are expected to arrive within at least the next 3 to 5 minutes. 5 minutes is too much. They are expected to arrive at least 3 to 5 minutes to make sure maximum damage is not done before they arrive. But think about a fire station in Tico, and there is a fire in Boya. And they leave Tico with all that traffic to Boya. They don't even have sirens. And they have to queue in line in that traffic to get to Boya, ladies and gentlemen. Before they got there, the damage was done. And once they got there was no water. Think about that. No water to use. And civilians were using sand to shut down that kind of inferno that you saw there in the images. Again, if this doesn't move any Ambazonian, I don't know what else moves you to want to see that Ambazonia succeeds. All right, I'm being joined by Sama Thomas. Let me bring him into this discussion before I bring you my talking point for the day, ladies and gentlemen. Comrade Sama, it's a great pleasure to have you. You have been sleeping right there. I've been seated here watching you nodding your heads and going. Thank you for joining me again, sir.
Thank you for having me, Comrade Chris. I haven't been sleeping. I'm just wondering what you are talking about, La Republic there and Boya, what's going on in Boya and also in Southern Cameroon. I'm really wondering because where I am, everything that is in La Republic is what one cannot imagine, because every quarter in Belgium, so long as rough 1,000 people living in that area, or even less than 1,000 people, so long as rough shops, people's businesses in that area, there must be a fire brigade in that area. Right. You cannot imagine. If my house is on flames now, within 10 minutes, a fire brigade, or not 10 minutes, a fire brigade is in front of my house, and they need not to go elsewhere to get water for the streets in front of my house. All those provisions are there. They will only open but a pit there that they've provided a tap for them to tap water there and use to extinguish the fire that is ravaging my house. And they will contain that fire within my house, not to jump to a neighbor's own house. I don't know what is going on in La Republic to Cameroon, and inclusive the Southern Cameroon. Where is Mbelamuki, Ngaringa? Where are all those fools, Peter Mafani Musonge in Boya? That is his own backyard. I don't know why his own house was not burned with him inside as an old man, so that he will not be able to run out of that house, whatever, to consume him and save the lives of many Southern Cameroonians for this monster not to be destroying us. Talking about electricity, if at all it's caused by electricity, and people in Boya are complaining that the electricity they think is to serve their own interest is but a curse to them. They need to sue as a community in nail for causing damage in their houses and their property with insurance or no insurance. If there is low voltage of electricity that damages your things in your house, it therefore means that the problem of the electricity company. If there is high voltage, that is a problem of the electricity company. They have to be controlling how much voltage that flows into a community or into an individual's house, whether it is at the level of that person's consumption or it's more than his capacity. You cannot just let electricity loose in the community that damages their property. Either the flow of electricity is too high or it is too low. Then you are not a competent company to provide those people with those services. For I cannot take something to use to better my life, of which that thing is just helping to destroy my own life, and there will be nobody answerable for the damages that thing has cost me while I'm paying it every month. It is uncalled for in the world.
That is the problem is, who are you going to sue?
Well, an attempt should be made. Eneo is a private company and not a government company. So the community, all communities that all these things have been happening to them in the Southern Cameroon, and even including La Republic of Cameroon, they should come up as a community and sue Eneo. Eneo will pay for those damages. They cannot escape it.
Eneo will pay. Eneo, the Eneo you are talking about, will go and bribe government officials, and they will shut down the lawsuit.
Well, it is said that until you make an attempt, when you make an attempt and fail, you say I've done it, but you cannot just sit and say I have failed without taking a step forward. So let them try it first before complaining. Because Eneo has been getting away with all those things because nobody has stand up against their excesses in the Southern Cameroon and in La Republic of Cameroon. And when they've done that, then Eneo will say the first person attempted this. We bribed the system and they lost the case. But if we do not do something, the second person might come up and we will not succeed in twisting the arms of everybody in this society.
What do you make of this quick announcement? The head of state is building a fire station in Boya.
The head of state, like you earlier said, a fire brigade is the prerogative of the local administrators. Had it been, we have elected mayors in the Southern Cameroons that determines the development of their area. They will be taking a decision for themselves that this is what my people need. For me to protect the businesses of my people, of which I'm collecting taxes from them for the development of my city, I must provide a fire brigade for my people because I'm collecting taxes from them. I cannot allow them run the risk of losing their property, of which they are paying taxes to the community because of those properties. But because those guys are appointed by the head of state to work on behalf of the head of state, they collect taxes not for the development of their community, but they collect taxes to or for the head of state. So everything, when they give to the head of state has to decide whether this area that this money is coming down for me needs a fire brigade. And if a fire never ravages that area, the head of state will not remember that area needs a fire brigade. I don't even know if the head of state promising a fire brigade like everything there, the head of state has given to the people of Bamenda a gas refilling whatever state, what they will thank the head of state. Now they will be thanking the head of state to provide the people of Boya with a fire extinguisher. For the next 50 years, we always thank the head of state, and that fire extinguisher station will never be constructed in Boya, but the people of Boya have thanked the head of state. What a country that people cannot take initiative to develop themselves. They were waiting for the dead man also in Yaoundé, who knows nothing. He doesn't even know that he is still alive, to come and develop Boya by opening a fire extinguisher station in Boya.
You were asking where Mosonge and Mbela Moki should be. I bet you by tomorrow morning or so, they will be out there saying, we thank the head of state for the new fire station in Boya.
I didn't mean I was doing Boya still reasonable enough. I could have long stopped everybody that is thanking the head of state for being just anything. If you give a cup of water to somebody, you say, we thank the head of state. So there's no any other person in that country that can do a thing. Everything they do, even the Catholic Church thanks the head of state for the renovation and extension of the cathedral in Mancon. They have to thank the head of state. What a curse! A people that have never done anything, only one single person out of 30 million people is responsible for everything.
Let's leave that there. Let me take you to what happened in the Bamenda at the weekend. You're looking at the image there. I understand that is somewhere around my six in the Bamenda, where Ambazonia restoration fighters targeted, we learned about 6 La République du Cameroon forces. My numbers may be wrong, but I learned around that. What do you know? What have you learned of that incident?
At times, some of us used to do things like I used to say, just do the little we can for the Southern Cameroon struggle, and God will do the rest. But let me say this before coming back there. These death traps that La République du Cameroon is operating in the southern, is opening in the Southern Cameroon, is called barracks. They are their death traps. Let them keep on opening them.
Yeah.
They are picking them by the roadsides one by one. But those death traps that they call them barracks, they will one day perish in those death traps. The moment is coming. They will one day perish in those death traps. If they are intelligent enough, they should leave the Southern Cameroons and not opening those death traps, for they will perish inside. About a week ago or 2 weeks ago, our people on the ground sent us messages that they need materials. We should provide them with those materials. Last week, we provided them with those materials in Mesa. Not up to 2 days, La République du Cameroon paid that price in Quest. I say kudos to them. Had it been when they asked us with that support for materials and the money wasn't in place, that action couldn't have taken place. So my plea to all Southern Cameroonians is that please do the little you can for us to support our people on the ground to push the enemy out of the territory of the Southern Cameroons. When things like this happen, some of us are happy, majority of us are happy, but those that are making such things happen are just a fraction. For what happened now in Gwen is the action of less than 10 people, that sat together and said, let us do something. Where are the rest of our people? What is their contribution toward the success of these boys on the ground? When these guys on the ground go out kidnapping, we condemn them for kidnapping, which I do myself. But what are you doing as an individual to prevent them from kidnapping our people and asking ransom from them, if at all they are doing so? Can we provide them with the materials they need so that they shouldn't go out kidnapping ignorant people on the ground? And for me to end up, La Republic should know that I'm a technocrat. I know what I will do next. We will do next for these boys to improve on their tactics, to get them running out of the Southern Cameroon. Let them, like I've said, let them keep on building those death traps. They will soon get them up.
And before I bring my monologue for today, let's get to Kumbo, where we learned today that La République du Cameroon finally succeeded to set up a camp right in the center of Kumbo after killing 3 civilians. What have you heard about that?
Oh, well, they've been struggling for years to get into Kumbo. They've succeeded to get into Kumbo. They might have succeeded to get into Kumbo because our boys are regrouping. So they run their way to get into Kumbo. But they should wait for that storm. When that regrouping has been completed and they are coming back for them, they will not run out of Kumbo. They will perish in Kumbo. They will not run out. So let them think that, let them glorify their success for these few days. When the storm comes, you will not run out. You will perish in that Kumbo.
All right. We're going to leave it there, Comrade Sama. Stay put in there. Let me bring my talking point for the day, and then we'll come back and have a discussion on it, please. Stay put, ladies and gentlemen.
ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricatv@gmail.com. ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I take you to my monologue for today that is centered around the message that Issa Tchiroma'S, Cameroon opposition leader now in exile, made over the week on the eve of Christmas. He titled it a Christmas message to Cameroonians, in which he promised, as you find on your screen, we will succeed. Will he or will they succeed? On Christmas Day, a season traditionally reserved for hope, reconciliation, and renewal, Issa Tchiroma'S Bakari chose words carefully weighted with moral urgency and political ambition. We will recover what has been confiscated. We will repair what has been broken. We will restore justice and dignity. And on this Christmas Day, I make you this solemn promise. We will succeed. Not for close circles, not for inherited privileges. It was a kind of statement that stirs emotion, the kind that resonates deeply in a country battered by decades of misrule, fear, and unfulfilled expectations. But beyond its poetic force, the speech raises an unavoidable and uncomfortable question. Is this a credible roadmap for change, or yet another chapter in Cameroon's long tradition of beautiful promises colliding with brutal political reality? Is this one of those? Cameroon is not short of promises. We heard it from Frundi and Kamto and the rest. Since the early 90s, opposition figures, reformists, technocrats, and even regime insiders have repeatedly pledged to restore justice, dignity, and prosperity. The problem has never been language. The problem has been power. Who holds it? How it is exercised? And how ruthlessly it is protected. Issa Tchiroma'S words tap into a national trauma that cuts across ethnic, religious, and regional lines. Confiscated mandates, broken institutions, looted public wealth, crushed dissent, and a population trained by experience to lower expectations. When Tchiroma speaks of what has been confiscated, many hear stolen elections. When he speaks of what has been broken, they see courts without independence, an economy serving a few, and a state that has normalized repression. When Tchiroma speaks of justice and dignity, they recall political prisoners, silenced journalists, and citizens reduced to survival. Yet, Cameroonians have always learned a painful lesson. Rhetoric is cheap in a system designed to neutralize reformers. This is where skepticism begins to harden. Issa Tchiroma is not a political novice emerging from outside the system. He has been part of Cameroon's political architecture for decades, and I mean decades. At times, inside government. At times, opposing it. That history is both his strength and his vulnerability. Supporters argue that his long exposure gives him insider knowledge of how the system works and how it can be dismantled. Critics counter that proximity to power compromises moral authority. They ask, if the system was just unjust for so long, where was this voice when it mattered the most? This tension haunts his Christmas message. It is a speech of renewal delivered by a man who knows intimately how deeply entrenched the rot is. That knowledge lends gravity to his words, but it also sharpens doubts about feasibility of his promises. The most consequential line in the message is not about justice or dignity. It is the declaration, we will succeed. Succeed how and when? Through elections widely regarded as structurally compromised, through negotiations with a regime that has survived for over 4 decades, precisely by outmaneuvering reform, through international pressure that has historically proven inconsistent and selective, Of course, the answer is no, not possible. Cameroon's political system is not merely authoritarian. It is self-preserving by design. Institutions exist largely to validate executive power, not restrain it. Courts rarely challenge authority. Parliament rarely checks excesses. Security forces are politicized. In such an environment, success does not depend on moral clarity alone. It depends on force, action, leverage, organization, and sustained pressure. This is where the Christmas promise begins to look fragile. Without a clearly articulated strategy for confronting entrenched power, the language of restoration risks becoming aspirational rather than actionable. Issa Tchiroma'S rejection of close circles and inherited privileges strikes at the heart of Cameroon's ruling culture. A narrow elite recycling power among itself, while the majority remains excluded from the system, denied the national cake. This critique is accurate and widely shared, but it also raises a dangerous paradox. Breaking closed circles requires opening new ones, building coalitions that cut across regional, ethnic, and ideological divides. Cameroon's opposition history is littered with failed alliances, fractured egos, and mutual suspicions. Without unity, even the most sincere reformist agenda collapses under internal contradictions. The question, therefore, is not whether Issa Tchiroma'S believes in inclusive governance, but whether he can build and sustain a coalition capable of enforcing it. Christmas messages are symbolic by nature. They trade in hope, but politics punishes wishful thinking. The Cameroonian state has demonstrated again and again that it does not yield power to moral appeals. It yields only under overwhelming internal pressure, international consequences, if there are any, or systemic breakdown. Does Issa Tchiroma'S possess, or is he cultivating the instruments necessary to generate that pressure? Or is this message an attempt to occupy the moral high ground while the machinery of power continues unchanged? History urges caution here. Many before him, that is, Frundi and Kamto, spoke of dignity and justice, only to be absolved, neutralized, or sidelined. Others miscalculated the regime's resilience. Some underestimated the cost of confronting one or confronting it. Ultimately, this Issa Tchiroma'S Christmas message shifts the burden onto Issa Tchiroma himself. He has raised expectations in a country allergic to disappointment. Words, this bold demand evidence of resolve, not just eloquence. Cameroonians will ask, what is a concrete plan to recover what was confiscated, sir? How will broken institutions be repaired without control of the state? What guarantees exist that this movement, the revolution of Issa Tchiroma, will not produce the same exclusions it condemns? And most critically, what personal risk is the speaker, Issa Tchiroma, willing to take to make these promises real? Issa Tchiroma'S Christmas message is powerful, evocative, and emotionally intelligent. It speaks to real pain and real longing and suffering. But Cameroon is a country where hope has been repeatedly weaponized against the people. In such a context, optimism without enforcement becomes cruelty. Is this wishful thinking? Possibly. Is it also a necessary declaration of intent in a suffocating political landscape? Perhaps, maybe. What is certain, ladies and gentlemen, is this. Cameroonians no longer judge leaders by promises, but by consequences. Christmas words fade quickly in the face of January realities. And unless this message is followed, Issa Tchiroma'S message, Christmas message, is followed by unmistakable action, organization, and sacrifice, it risks joining the long archive of speeches remembered, not for what they change, but for what they failed to change. And that is my talking point tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Let me bring back my panel here. Sama Thomas, I'm sure you got the message out there. Give me your take on what you read from Issa Tchiroma as a Christmas message to Cameroonians, sir.
The only thing I can say about Tchiroma'S message to La Republican citizens as a Christmas message is are all empty promises. Promises that have nothing to contribute, like you've earlier said, that January will come and there will be nothing, that La Republican will rely on what Tchiroma has said, and all those things will just fly away to the wind, like it came from the wind. There are no concrete measures that Tchiroma has put in place to match his words with actions. And if those words go without action, then they will fade away like any other that have faded away during the days of Kamto. Comrade Chris, let me refer La Republican back to the actions of Frundi and the people of the Southern Cameroons in 1992. When Frundi was placed under house arrest in 1992, from October to December and early January 1992, Bamenda was in a lockdown, in a complete state of emergency. Nothing was moving in Bamenda. The population was constantly out to block even La Republican citizens. Trees were felled, trenches were dug to block La Republican soldiers from moving from one end of the city to another with their vehicles without consequences. They only opened those roads when Frundi was about to leave the country to attend Clinton's inauguration. When Frundi came back in 1993, in March, there was trouble in Bamenda, March, April, which Anthony Gimbom and Kwan Anthony were killed in Bamenda on the 24th of March or April or so, that same in 1993. That was still the actions that the people of Bamenda were carrying for the stolen elections of Frundi in 1992. The question you now ask is, what are the people, the supporters of Issa Tchiroma in La Republic doing so that Tchiroma's words shouldn't go for nothing? Because those words should be matched by the action of the people on the field. But what are those people on the field doing? Nothing. What preparation did Tchiroma put in place when he knew that after the elections, this type of things will happen? What did they put in place to counter them? Even in Garwa, where Tchiroma is coming from, Can you still call one person to go out on the streets of Garwa and march? Secondly, I heard Chiroma is going to the ICC to sue La Republic for whatsoever. Let me remind Chiroma. I don't know. I might be a novice here, but it seems it's true. Has Chiroma said local remedy for the case is carried against La Republic to the International Court of to the ICC, or he has jumped local remedy to the ICC? If that has not been done and is going to the ICC might throw out that file that they do not have the jurisdiction to handle such a case for local remedy haven't been exploited. So it is still
talking about the ICC, you know, number one, there are a number of problems. Number one, the bureaucracy at the ICC, even if they take up the case, you know, it's going to take years. Number two, if they take up the case, you know how rapidly Cameroon will deploy diplomats and lobbyists to go and lobby members of that court, and nothing will happen. If Issa Tchiroma has done that, I think he just wants to kind of portray a sense of action, what he is doing to recover what they call a stolen victory, which to me, I think, is just a way to placate the population and let them know, you see, I'm doing something and then time goes away, and before you know, Arabia is dead, or it is 7 years.
Chiroma is just blowing hot air that has nothing to do, and when that hot air, it has a period of time. After 6 months, Chiroma's story is over. But first of all, Chiroma should know that there is no government in La Republic that is that has a concern of the people that you can think that you will use the law elsewhere to remedy a situation in that country. It's a jungle, a free-for-all society. And in such a jungle, if you do not behave like the lion, the cheetah, the tiger, then you will be in the menu.
Yeah.
So, La Republican citizens have chosen to be in the menu for Atangaji and Paubia to chop them or to eat them. And until they will say no, we cannot be on the menu, but we will be on the table. And to be on that table, you have to do just one thing. In the jungle is the survival of the fittest. If you cannot prepare yourself strong enough to face the lion, to face the tiger, to face the elephant, then prepare yourself, just remain a menu on the table of the lion and the rest to be eaten by them. But by the moment you realize yourself, you want to protect yourself, get the guns. That is the only language a jungle like La Republic understands. And that is why Paubia told this Chiroma and all La Republican citizens in 1991 that if you want peace, I'm saying this, I've repeated it severally. Paubia said, and I quote in 1991, anybody that wants peace in La Republic Cameroon should prepare for war. End of quote. And he has been preparing himself to defend himself at all costs to remain in power. On the day he will die, his son or his brother or his wife, that his wife has been ruling for the past 10 years. When he dies today, they might hide his death and his wife continues ruling. So if you do not prepare yourself for that war, which Paubia promised everybody that if you want peace, you should prepare yourself for war, please. Don't be reading long speeches on political platforms. Bismarck warned everybody in the 18th centuries, in the late 18th centuries, that the unification of Germany cannot be done on political platforms with long speeches, but it will be done. It will be done by iron and bronze. to unite and unify that territory. So if the Republican citizens want to liberate themselves, they should do the ultimate thing. Get the guns that Pobia asked you guys to pick in 1991 to fight him out of power. Failure to do so, forget all these long speeches on political platforms will never move a pin in La Cameroon.
I have really been at a fixed here recently trying to analyze the standstill of the situation in the political situation in the country. On one side, Tchiroma people, they are blaming the population. You are not doing enough. You're supposed to be stepping out to protest and detest the regime. On the other side, you have the population saying to the Tchiroma people, we don't have leadership. You are not saying anything. And they all make sense. Who, in your opinion, is failing who here? Is Sama?
The population is failing Tchiroma. Had it been the population of La Republique was proactive enough, that is when Tchiroma will look at those actions of the population and say, okay, I have the strength of the people, the backing of the people. This is the action of the people. He will now capitalize on the action of the people, say, as the people are behaving this way, they've taken this move. Can we metamorphose from step 1 to step 2? What can we upgrade? Where was their failure? And what can we upgrade from their failure to move to another stage? Then you will now constitute a team of technocrats to control the people, the agitators on the ground. If at all those agitators were using stones yesterday, out of their own evolution, you will now say, as you people were using stones, can we send out technocrats to say, instead of using stones, let us use bottles and petrol and sand? After that period, you now say, can we move to the next stage? Let us go now by using this and this and this to tackle the situation. That is how the ground is drawn. But if the population has failed Tchiroma by not agitating, to go out even to march, to burn down military trucks, to set the houses of CPD and big wigs or any CPDM in the quarter on flames, keep them on the run, keep them on the move. They must not be standing. So long as you haven't put these people on the move, what do you expect from Tchiroma? Tchiroma cannot be Tchiroma is just an individual. He cannot be a forest. He cannot be the population. He might have all the ideas to spur you people up, but if you are a dormant people, those ideas will still come and will mean nothing. People will not act on those ideas. But had it been people were already acting, Tchiroma will now come and say, okay, as people are acting, this is the next move we are going to take. And we will progress from there. From that progress, a lot of ideas will be coming in on how to move forward. But if that is being done, you don't expect Tchiroma to do anything. So it is the people that are failing Tchiroma and not Tchiroma failing them.
You see, when I watch the elections in Cameroon and the aftermath of that, seeing the population that gathered in Marwa, the night of the election, I was so convinced the Biya regime was done, because I thought if this population can show up in Douala, in Bafoussam, and the rest of the north, the regime was done. Apparently, that was the end of it. Tchiroma did not put any... Yeah, go on.
They not alone. Marwa, Garwa, and Gandri. These 3 regions were capable of bringing down Mr. Biya's regime with the exclusion of any other region getting up to support them. But for the simple fact that Garwa couldn't resist, even for 2 weeks, they were expecting somebody to come from where?
But
Do we
Garawa
even know?
didn't prevail for 2 weeks because nobody was behind them, telling them stay put, continue, keep it on. Nobody was saying that.
No, when Fruity was placed under house arrest, who was telling the population of Bamenda to keep on to be moving forward? Because communication, let me say something. In that same 1992, when Paul Biya and his gang proclaimed the results of the elections in 1992, Fruity was not the one that asked us to go out on the streets of Bamenda. He was instead asking us to go home. Fruity was asking us to go home. May he so rest in peace. But we said no, we are not going to take it. So Fruity wasn't the person controlling the action on the streets of Bamenda in 1992. Left to Fruity, everybody could have gone back home. But the population took upon themselves that no, we are going to do something. We will do something. And they did it. You couldn't expect Tchiroma to do anything. Was it the victory of Tchiroma alone as an individual that was stolen? Was it not the victory of everybody that was stolen? Is it only Tchiroma that was supposed to be bitter with what had happened? Is the population that voted for Tchiroma?
And to be fair for Tchiroma, he called for ghost towns a number of times. I think is it 2 or 3 times, and the show was really, really poor.
So what were they expecting him to do? He couldn't. It is because of the timidity of those actions that Tchiroma said no. With this type of attitude, if I stay put here and these guys lay hands on me, I'm gone and nobody is going to stand up for anything. So the earlier I get out of this place, the better for me and my family. That is what took Tchiroma out of Garawa. Had it been the population was drumming the ground hard for La Republic and La Republic soldiers, Tchiroma could say, okay, now I wrap the population out, let me stay put and see how I can control actions on the ground. Because I already have a protection. The soldiers cannot reach me. For the soldiers who will be running back on the streets with the people, and with fire raging from every crooks and cranny of La Republic, will you be running to go and arrest Tchiroma as an individual? So the people are protecting Tchiroma. So how are you going to reach him? So I will not blame Tchiroma for what is going on now in La Republic, but I will blame the population for failing Tchiroma.
No, I think I'm in agreement with you there, and I think having follow up what is transpiring in the political terrain in La Republic to Cameroon for all this while, after the elections, Ambazonians should be learning a case here, and the case is that Francophones will never fight. They have no balls. They cannot fight. We were hoping that out of what the turmoil in La Republic du Cameroon, we are going to birth something out in Ambazonia. And I'm hoping that Ambazonians out there now see that they are on their own and they have to fight to get out of this regime and not expect help or alliances from anywhere east of the Mongol. Sama Thomas, stay in there. Let me open the phone lines and let's see what the people out there have on their mind. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to open the phone lines, but remember that before you call, turn down the volume of your television set or whatever you are listening from. Turn the volume down, and when you call, concentrate on your telephone set. Because if I pick the phone and instead of hearing you, I'm hearing my voice in the background, I will just go to the next caller. That is why many of your calls are not taken sometimes. So please, go ahead. Let's get the number on the screen, please. All right, you got the number there on your screen. Go ahead and call. Let me know what is on your mind, please. Somehow, Thomas, you heard my last point there. Ambazonians by now should know that they have to fight and fight and fight. There are no alliances coming across from La République du Cameroon. That is a message we've learned.
You can only make an alliance with somebody that has an interest like yours. But you cannot make an alliance. That is why at the given moment, I blame my friend Tchiroma'S, who is now under the detention of a Norwegian system, for making an alliance with Nnamdi Kanu, of which there was nothing to give.
Hold on there. Nnamdi Kanu never made an alliance with Tchiroma'S. Tchiroma'S made an alliance. Hold on there. Hold the line, please. Hold the line, please. Tchiroma'S never went into an alliance with Nnamdi Kanu. Tchiroma'S went into alliance with the guy who was picked up in Finland. You know, the Biafran struggle was split like you have ours, where you have one faction being led by Nnamdi Kanu and the other one by the guy who was in Finland. They are all in jail now. But of course, the premise of your point is correct. There was never any need for Ambazonia to be having any alliance with anything Biafra. Short and simple.
Yeah.
Let's take this caller and then we'll get back to you. Hello.
Yes, good evening or good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, I am just calling to respond to what Mr. Samuel said about the people and the reaction of the people concerning the elections that took place in the Cameroon. Look, we have to be careful. We have to be able to distinguish a random revolution and a controlled revolution. In a random revolution will fall under what Mr. Sama is saying, that people should just get up and do whatever they want. And then any leader can just come out and then decided to lead that revolution. But in a controlled revolution like what happened in Cameroon recently, is the fact that Tchiroma'S made himself available. He promised, he told the people that he is going to lead them. He gave his commitment to them that he was going to lead them. And they expected him to do that. It makes no sense why, if he knew he was not going to go all the way to the end, why did he decide to take over the mantle? Their people came out from the day of the election. Besides, first, the Republic of Cameroon understood that in order to kill the energy of the people and to get the people to become dissatisfied and to move on, was to extend the result of the election for about 2 weeks. So that by the time the election is read, the people must have already gotten tired of the whole thing. But the people stood their grounds and they came out to demonstrate. Like I said before, in the north, the people were out every day. But they were expecting him to lead them, tell them what to do. What is the next step? Because he gave them the impression that he was their leader. He told them that I will tell you what to do. I will give you the next step. What you're going to have to do. Mr. Sama said they would have gone out to burn trucks, would have gone out to attack military barracks. Well, they did all those things. They chased the mayors around. They chased the DOs around. They did all this and they were on the street. But what were they told? Wait, I will give instruction. Wait, I will give instruction.
Hold on there. Yeah, they were told, wait, I will give instruction. But finally, when he gave instructions, go out, shut down the cities, shut down the towns, 3-day ghost towns, 4-day ghost towns, it was so timidly respected.
How long was that? When was that? That was after he has already escaped to Nigeria. He was no longer in the country. He was no longer in the country. And most of the things has already died down. In fact, people had already moved on, are living their normal lives before he gave this ghost town instructions. Some people came out, even in the north. The north was shut down during the ghost. We can say it was timid in the south, but in the north, it was a different situation. The whole north was shut down. Even in the west region, most western region cities were shut down. So it is not enough to just go and after 2 weeks and come back and say you should. This is not the point. The point is, for a revolution to be successful, you must know when to tap into the spirit of the people. You must know when to say, okay, it is now. Look, there can be no liberation of Cameroon without without any sacrifice. But you remember, even during the protest, just after the election, when the results were read, what did they say? Oh, go out, but please do it peacefully. You cannot have a revolution we should do it peacefully in a country where the regime is brutal. It does not work. The people's hands were tied by the leadership. Let's accept failure. They have failed. They failed to tap into the spirit of the people. They failed to know when to say, okay, let things loose and let the people do what they have to do. They failed.
Right. No, you got a point there. Thank you for the call.
It's very frustrating. Sorry.
Thank you for the call. All right. Okay, ladies and somehow you heard that. What you have to make a point there before the next caller?
Well, like I've earlier said to my brother, 2 weeks wasn't enough. Let me go back to the launching of the SDF. Comrade Chris, do you know the launching of the SDF was postponed severally before 26 May was chosen to be the launching day? Why? Because the people that were to launch the SDF, they were dropped. Their ears were on the ground, listening to the reaction of the people. What was the expectation of the people? So when that drumming was going on, they found out how the magma and the zeal of the people to welcome a new party was. And when it reached that tip of it, they say, okay, we are going to launch this party on such and such a day. Before they say, Nesake, like we say in Mancon, how are you? The whole of Bamenda was up and boiling. Has Tchiroma not done that during his campaign? What happened that momentum died down within 2 weeks after the elections? It's a people that are not resilient enough, that do not want to liberate themselves. They think that everything should be given to them on the platter of gold. Did we, Comrade Chris, ask the people of Southern Cameroons to get out on the street or pick guns? The people, out of their own evolution, pick up guns or rubber guns, start fighting the system before we set in to say, okay, let us support these boys on the ground with this and that. We were not the ones who gave them anything to start with. So the citizens of La Republic must not be expecting Tchiroma to give them anything to start with. They should start for something to come after.
No, I think you make the point very articulately. Ambazonia was not led by anybody. We stood up on our own and we said enough is enough. We are going to fight. And we have been fighting for the 9 years. And those who call us internet government or internet revolution, I don't know how an internet government or revolution holds a government like that of La République du Cameroon for 9 years, for 8 decades, and they can't surrender. Let me get this call. I'll come back to you. Hello, sir. Hello.
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 I can hear you. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling to La République de Cameroon.
Okay. Wait today for your mind.
I'm calling La République de Cameroon.
Okay. Thank you for the call. What's on your mind?
What is in my mind is that we should not focus on Tchiroma Bakari because he's in Bororo and he's not saying something truth. So we are Ambazonia. So as what is in my mind is that we should not focus on Tchiroma Bakari because he's not saying something good to us, and we are Ambazonia. We are not Cameroonians.
Okay. All right.
So, Sama, I thank you much because you know the truth. La République de Cameroon citizens don't want to die. So since they don't want to die, let us focus with our fight, not Tchiroma fight, because Tchiroma is deceiving us. Tchiroma will not fight. That is the truth. So we should focus on Ambazonia fight, not in Tchiroma fight, because Tchiroma will not say anything now. They will obey him because people here, they are afraid. They cannot fight.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. We hear you. Okay. Summer, let's go ahead and round this up. Your last point, please.
Well, I'm very happy that even citizens of La Republic now are certain ambassador nationality, of which we haven't yet reached them. The day we reach Ambazonia and say the bridge has finally uh, been separated or cut down, I hope I believe there will be an influx from La Republic Cameroon into Southern Cameroons. But that notwithstanding, I want to say Southern, we are only educating, helping to educate the citizens of La Republic Cameroon to stand up for themselves. But had it been the stood up for themselves, they could have helped to reduce the weight that is on our soldiers. So we are not letting down our guard. We are still standing strong where we were yesterday, and will still keep on till tomorrow. If they like, they should stand for themselves. They should learn from us and do something to help themselves. If they don't, okay, we are already on the way. We will never turn back again. So they are the ones to be in that mess, and not us, the people of Southern Cameroons. So I want to thank that call out from the ground, but still, Tchiroma is an individual, it's not the population. The population of Lara should stand up and help themselves.
All right, let's get to this other caller here. Hello.
Hello, Secretary Chris.
Hello, sir. Can you raise your voice a bit so we can hear you clearly, please? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Manfred. I'm your guy. I'm your reporter. It's a long time your number is not going through.
Okay, now you got my number, right?
Yeah.
Send me a message after this, and I will get across to you. So, what is on your mind?
Yeah, I want to say that the problem with Tchiroma is that he was picked by a group of people, and those people, immediately after the election, like the Anise and the other people, they were picked up, and those were the master planners of the game. So while they were picked up, I'm sure he himself had no other plan, and he had nothing to do. Reason why he was confused, because the program that he ran for was not brought up by him. It was brought up by people who selected him. So I'm sure at that juncture, he became confused when they were picked up, and the pressure again. So that is how I read what is going on.
Okay, you may be right. You may be right because the leader is in exile, and two other close collaborators picked up, locked up. One is dead, one is still under incarceration, and all you got left is this so-called civil society, human rights groups like the car walas and the stuff, who really cannot nurture the courage to do anything. You may be right. Thank you for the call.
Yes, and one thing again. Hello?
Yes.
This weekend at the Yumo Jog, restoration forces had to fire on drivers who tried to ignore the lockdown on Monday. And at the moment, there are barriers in Umojok because I learned 2 drivers were killed, and the barrier will be soon. So that is what I wanted to announce to you, but since it's a long time, I wasn't having your number again.
All right, now you got my number. So is lockdown being respected in the Manfe Umojok today?
Yes, at the stretch of road from Manfe to Nigeria, it is now respected because this particular boy, he has been beaten by restoration forces. They didn't want to kill him. They beat him very well. They allow him, he went, but he is still doing it. So this time they had to shoot him. They shot him at gunpoint. So, it's not something that I'm fabricating. I have informants too who are there, and I've called. I've seen I can even send you the I don't know, is it poster, the burial program that has been put on a placard. I can send you the picture, you see the guy there.
Okay.
He was shot by restoration forces, yeah.
All right. Thank you for the call. Send me a message so that I can save your number, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. Comrade Sama, it was a pleasure having you. I look forward to you have a great night and a prosperous new year right there in Belgium, sir.
Same to you over there, Comrade Chris, and thanks for having me.
All right, all right. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call it a night here. I look forward again to coming back tomorrow with a very, very exclusive interview. If you are Nigerian, this has so much to do with some trending news that is happening in Nigeria, and you want to make sure you mark your calendar for tomorrow, 8 p.m. Lagos time, Cameroon, Ambazonian time, West African time, 1 p.m. Houston, Texas Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, you don't want to miss that. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for staying put. At this moment, I like to say good night and see you tomorrow.
Keep on up, Joe.
Thank you.